when the kings had gone away, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. Get up, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt. Stay there until I send for you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. So Joseph got up, took Jesus and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, and so was fulfilled that what the Lord had said through the prophet, out of Egypt I call my son. When Herod realized he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and the area who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time that he had learned from the Magi. Then that was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. For a voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted, because they are no more. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, and said, Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who are trying to take the child's life are no more. So Joseph got up, took Jesus, his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But he heard Archelaus was reigning in Judea in place of his father Herod. He was afraid to go there, and again, having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. He went to live and lived in a town called Nazareth. So was fulfilled the prophecy that said, he will be called a Nazarene. The word from the Lord in the house of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Sometimes Joseph is the forgotten one in the Christmas story. We like to think, well, gee, they had to stay in a stable so they didn't have any money. But Joseph was a craftsman. Joseph was employed. Joseph probably was pretty well-to-do if he could afford to have another wife, because he may well have had one already. So when he was betrothed to Mary, it wasn't as a peasant girl and a peasant marriage, but rather he was fulfilling a desire of a man who had who had a house and who had a job, had a trade that he could ply. And the secret or the mystery of the Christmas season is that Joseph played a part, and Joseph doesn't get much credit in it. Joseph was spoken to remind him not to reject Mary, even though society said he should have. God spoke to Joseph and said, you will name your son Jesus, Yeshua, even though that would not have been a traditional name in Joseph's family. And then he was warned to take the boy to Egypt to prevent him from being killed by Herod. And when he came back, he was warned away from where he would have gone to live in order to be safe from the son of Herod, Archelaus. So Joseph went along with what God had in mind for him. Mary was able to write the Magnificat, or to speak the Magnificat about how wonderful it was that God was going to use her as his servant. And too often we look at the onus and we look at the tasks that go along with being a servant, and we think, boy, I'm sure I'm lucky I got to do this. But Mary understood that she was chosen to be the one that God would use. Joseph, on the other hand, had a trade. He had things to do, and he wasn't particularly tuned in, as Mary might have been. But when God spoke to him, he listened. When God spoke to him, he responded in a way that was, fortunately for us, very positive. Can you imagine where we would stand now if Joseph had said, I'm not going to Egypt. I don't like it down in Egypt. I'm staying here. And Herod would have come with his soldiers. We wouldn't be where we are. Except I'm very confident that God will get done what God wants done. And if we are the ones who don't do it, we're just in the way, and he'll move us aside and find somebody who will do what he wants done. When we were looking around, we knew we had to build a church because we were overflowing the the cafeteria at the school, we looked around and we identified 4 places that we were going to build a church. 2 of them fell through because they sold the property out from under where we were ready to buy it. One of them was right down just off of 95, and we felt like not challenging the traffic on 95 directly right out of the churchyard, so we didn't do that one. And then along came somebody who contacted us and said, "We got some property we would sell you for a church." And here we are. Here we are. Most of you know the story that it was 77 days from the day they moved dirt until we had our first service in this building. You don't build them like that. God was in there somewhere. He got us where He needed us to be, and He got the job done. Oh, we weren't fighting Him. We were all for it. Boy, I was 7 days a week on this job. I'm not a very good contractor, I guess. I kept getting involved. But God wants us to be involved. He spoke to Joseph because Joseph was the source of what could get done, what God needed to be done. In that society, in that age, in that time, to tell Mary that she had to go with the baby to Egypt would not have worked. She would not have been allowed to travel alone, especially not with a baby. But God spoke to Joseph to get the job done. He said, "Come on back. It's time to go to work." And Joseph returned because God had Joseph's ear. And then he said, "Hey, you better take him to Nazareth because where you wanted to be is pretty dangerous." And he listened again. What a wonderful thing it is to know that if God has your ear, He will speak directly to your heart. If He has your ear, He will speak to your heart. And you'll do the things that He wants you to do. And I know every one of you is in here because somewhere, somehow, sometime, God has grabbed your ear and spoken to you about doing something. I can't identify it. I don't know that you can. But somewhere in your life there's been a little change. Somewhere in your life there's been a slight turn that you took, not knowing exactly why. But you did it and it came out fine. It came out wonderful. Because God had your ear for a moment. And in doing so He could turn your heart to where He needed you to be. I know you heard my story. I went to a sales meeting one day and they told me I had a week to turn in the company car. And now here I am. Still working. See, now if I hadn't gotten fired, or whatever you want to call it, I've been retired almost 20 years by now, and my wife would be, "Yes." Maybe next year, yeah, you never know. No. See, we don't know. We don't know up front. We don't know at the exact time. We don't know what it is that God has in mind for us. We don't know what it is that He's speaking to us. And it can be something as simple as, I just have to give that lady or that guy on the corner, I got to give him $20 this time. There was a time we bought Smith gift cards in bulk so that we would got a nice discount, and we used them for the script program and everything. And I just picked up $5,000 worth of Smith cards and was leaving the parking lot, and there was a lady there with 3 little kids. And I stole 2 gift cards from you and gave them to her. I confessed it to God before, but this is the first you knew about it. Honest, I haven't done it since. But see, what is it? What is it that's the miracle that God wants you to perform? What is it that little task that'll change somebody's life, that'll make things so different than it would be otherwise? But if God has your ear, He will have your heart. And you will respond. And something will happen, and someone's life will change, and someone's life will be better, and you may never even know it. Now, the miracles that Jesus performed that we know about were the ones where he healed the lame and he healed the lepers and he caused the blind to see and even raised Lazarus from the dead. But how many miracles, how many lives, how many times did he change people's lives? They didn't even realize it was him. Oh, we don't write about those, do we? We can't find them in the book anywhere. But I absolutely know in my heart that there's probably been a miracle in almost all of our lives that we may not even recognize yet. Miracles. Miracles from an awesome God. If he has your ear, he will have your heart. If he has your heart, he will make a miracle. If he has your ear, he will have your heart. Amen. We'll come thither. I didn't know I ever came thither, but Joseph listened. God had his ear. God has our hearts. So listen. Listen for the call. Go in peace. Amen.
Amen.